I'm Shannon.
And I'm Holly, and this is the Girls Gone Curious podcast, where we talk about things that make us curious. So, grab your favorite drink, sit back, and relax because your show is loading. Today's episode includes the following trigger warnings: strong language and mentioning topics of suicide. This podcast is not suitable for children. Please listen with care. We do apologize if we say any of the names or places wrong in today's case. This week's true crime category is white collar. So, let's get into it.
So a little different than our regular cases we do, but a crime was committed nonetheless. So this white collar case involves greed, the kind that involves more money and more power. What is a white collar crime? So the simplest explanation is when someone uses their economic, social, or technical power for personal gain. The term white collar crime was coined in 1939 by Edwin Sutherland. Edwin was an American criminologist that explained that a majority of the people who committed these types of crime were business people and politicians. White-collar crimes can involve embezzlement, bribery, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, perjury, money laundering, antitrust violations, tax crimes, regulatory violations, healthcare fraud, intellectual property crimes, and cybercrime. Sutherland explained the differences between white-collar crimes and blue-collar crimes is just the physical violence that happens in blue-collar crimes. White-collar crimes are typically nonviolent and driven by money. The crimes committed by this type of criminal tend to use their authority to gain access to funds and resources instead of using physical force. Kind of going into a little bit of detail for some of the categories under white-collar crime. In case you were curious, the FBI is the agency that would generally investigate all of these crimes we are going to talk about. Healthcare fraud is a big one and everyone is affected. Every year there are billions of dollars in losses. This causes the premiums to rise and increase in taxes. Healthcare fraud can be committed by anyone, not necessarily just medical personnel. The crime is anyone who deceives the healthcare system to receive benefits and/or payments. Mortgage fraud is usually committed by lenders and is against the homeowners. The lenders or other professionals in the mortgage industry will steal cash and equity from homebuyers frequently. Another example of mortgage fraud occurs when borrowers lie about income or assets on an application or influence the appraiser in some manner to change the price of the property's value. Or in some instances, they have an appraiser come out when it's raining.
Yeah.
Corporate fraud. This is where we'll be focusing on today. This is where several accounting schemes come into play. This could be lying about financial information, like more money than what there actually is, processing through a company. This leads to incorrect accounting or misrepresentation of financial gains and losses. This could also include trades that are done to inflate profits to hide losses. Any type of transaction that is used to benefit from regulatory oversight, insider trading, using corporate property for personal gains, money laundering, and tax violations. Money laundering is where the criminals hide and accumulate their wealth, try to avoid prosecution, do not pay taxes, and increase profits by reinvesting for purposes of criminal activity, to name a few. This is usually done through healthcare fraud, human trafficking, public corruption, drug trafficking, and terrorism. Criminals will accomplish this by hiding the money through banks, international trade, precious metals, real estate, third-party organizations, and virtual currency. Securities and commodities fraud. This will also be in today's case. This happens when criminals have made it appear that they are investing in an item that creates opportunities for great return on the investment, only there wasn't anything there to begin with. Financial institution fraud, embezzlement, and misuse of companies' funds would be examples under this category. Intellectual property theft and piracy. Intellectual property theft involves robbing people or company of their ideas, inventions, and creative expressions. This includes trade secrets, proprietary products, movies, music, recipes, photographs, and software. Now that there is a little bit of background on what white-collar crimes are, let's get into today's case. This company was honestly made for disaster. So many people knew it was going on and knew it was illegal and didn't do a damn thing about it because the money was rolling in. This case is actually thought to be the biggest fraud to date. The company, ENRON. ENRON was originally created as a clean energy company. This company was created by Kenneth Lay. Kenneth Lay was born on April 15, 1942, to parents Omar and Ruth Lay in Tyrone, Missouri. Omar was a Baptist priest. Lay would state that he grew up in a poor family and would often wonder what it would be like if they had money. He figured the best way would be to get an education. He got his bachelor's degree from the University of Missouri in 1964, his master's degree from the same university in 1965, and finally his doctorate from the University of Houston in 1970. Lay would get married to Judith Diane Ayers in 1966. They would have 2 children together, Mark and Elizabeth, and then get divorced in 1982. Lay would then marry Linda Ann Harold in 1982, and we'll get into that a little bit more later.
Into the marriage and then divorce and then another marriage?
Yeah. A quick rundown of Lay's work history. He worked for Humble Oil, which is now known as Exxon, from 1965 to 1968 as an economist and speechwriter. He was in the Navy, and from 68 to 69 he was the supply officer. He then worked for the George Washington University from 69 to 73 as a lecturer and assistant professor. Then transferred to Federal Power Commission from 71 to 72. From 72 to 74, he was the Deputy Undersecretary for Energy. From 74 to 76, he worked at the Florida Gas Company. And from 76 to 79, he was the president of the Continental Group. 79 to 81, he was the executive vice president of Transco Energy Company. And then 81 to 84, he was president and chief operating officer for Houston Natural Gas Corporation. 84 to 85, he was the CEO and chairman of HNG Internorth. 85 to 86, he was the chairman and CEO of ENRON. Also from 86 to 2002. He was the chairman and CEO of ENRON. And then in 1997, he was president. Very boring, but shows his growth, if you will.
Yeah, he looks like he did a lot of shit.
Yeah. A more in-depth look at his work and how it led to the creation and downfall of ENRON. So in 1971, Lay was made chief assistant to the Federal Power Commission. He would then be appointed as the Deputy Undersecretary of Energy within a year. During this time, power outages were happening frequently, and issues with oil would be large enough for someone to take action. But Lay saw this as an opportunity for business growth. So then he decided to go to work for Florida Gas in 74. There he was the vice president in charge of corporate planning. Lay then became president of the company in 76. He would then want more and move to the Continental Group Company in 1979. There he began having an affair with his secretary at the time and wanted a divorce from his wife. The divorce was hostile, unfortunately, for the kids.
That is one thing that I wrote down after we went over that little section was affair.
Yeah.
He divorced and married
the same year. Yeah. So his wife was very distraught, and it actually said that she ended up getting care for, she had a mental break, and she ended up getting help for it.
Like a psychological.
Yeah. And the manipulation that this man did on his ex-wife He got it to where she would bring the kids to vacation with him and his current wife in Aspen.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Now, it's cool if you guys can co-parent, and that's amazing because that doesn't happen very often. But this wasn't that type of situation. This was, he was
You're
married.
going to do what I say.
Right, exactly.
Even though we're not married anymore,
Right.
You're going to do what I say.
Right.
And you're going to watch me be with another woman because that's how it is.
Right. Yeah.
Fucking piece of shit.
Yep. During the next few years, Lay would continue on his journey for more money and power by working at Houston Natural Gas. He was a huge ass at... And
Fuck.
He was a huge asset in purchasing the Florida Gas Company. This allowed the pipelines to expand throughout the South. In 1985, he decided to take an opportunity when it came. So in comes Samuel Segnar, which he was the CEO of InterNorth at the time. InterNorth would purchase Houston Natural Gas for an exorbitant amount of money, so much so that they would have a $5 billion in debt.
So was InterNorth another energy?
Yeah,
thing?
another energy company.
Okay.
Yeah. Quote, Segnar and his co-workers made an astonishing blunder. However, as part of their agreement with Houston Natural Gas, they gave former HNG officers more seats on the new board of directors than were given to former InterNorth officers. The new company, dubbed HNG InterNorth, bought out shares for $357 million, of which $230 million was taken from employees' retirement funds. In November 1985, the new company's board of directors fired Segnar and appointed Lay as CEO. The entire turn of events became ironic when Jacobs said that he had never intended to take over InterNorth in the first place. He had just invested in what he regarded as a growth stock, end quote. So Jacobs was supposed to be the next in line to be CEO, and they didn't want him to do that because they believed he wasn't going to go in the direction that they wanted him to go in. So they were like, we're going to bring in somebody else and let things stir everything up. So we'll bring in Lay because he's manipulative and
he'll do what we want, and he's going to bring this to the place that we want it to bring to.
Right. So, quote, HNG InterNorth was then paying over $50 million per month on its outstanding debt, because they had the $5 billion in debt, which stood at 3/4 of the company's equity. In 1986, Lay began selling some of the company's holdings, including its chemical business, the sale of which generated $634 million.
Oh my God.
Yeah. In 1986, Lay was given $731,000 in cash compensation, making him one of America's highest paid executives at the time. End quote.
Fucking give me a break.
And he's still wanting, going for more.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's, that's totally fine. Everybody wants more money. So the new name for HNG InterNorth became ENRON. Lay would meet up with Jeffrey Skilling. Skilling was a consultant in the beginning, but would rise to be Enron's COO. Enron would become a company that could be traded. The producers of the gas were able to calculate the risks of energy prices by setting the sale price by contract for a fee. With Skilling, Enron would be the top company for natural gas contracts. The profits would be huge, the largest anyone had ever seen. The culture of the company would begin to change. The drive for being the best and to be aggressive was becoming the new norm. Top MBA candidates would be recruited to create a competitive and aggressive atmosphere. Everyone wanted to be the individual who closed as many deals as possible in the shortest amount of time. One recruit that was said to be the best was Andrew Fastow. He rose quickly at the company. He would become the chief financial officer. His job was to check on the financing of Enron with investments. Skilling's job was to monitor the building of Enron's trading operations. The stock market in the 90s honestly helped shape Enron's future by helping in the rapid growth of the company. Enron was everywhere and wanted to expand even further. Enron was one of those companies that everybody wanted to work at until they started working there and they were like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
They wanted in on anything and everything that could possibly be traded. It didn't matter what it was. Some of the most common products that were traded did include coal, paper, steel, electricity, and the weather. Yep, the weather. They were
I was just about to say, wait
Right.
a minute. How the fuck do you trade the weather?
Right. So they were trying to trade the weather. They would also try to get established as a high-speed internet trading company in the mix of all that.
How the fuck do you trade the weather?
I promise we'll talk about it.
Oh, fuck.
With Enron's enormous success as a trading energy company, other companies would emerge, and so the competition with other companies would begin to take its toll. Profits would begin to shrink. Shareholders would start to put pressure on the leaders of Enron. Like, what's going on with my money? One of the biggest foreshadowing events of the downfall of Enron would come in 1987 when two oil traders that worked for the company were found to be siphoning money into accounts listed as MyAss, or MYASS.
My ass.
The problem was that these two individuals were trading way outside of their scope of duties in amounts of millions of dollars. So, like, they might have only been allowed to do like a couple $100,000 or maybe up to $100,000, and they were trading millions of dollars. Auditors brought all of this to the attention of Lay and Skilling. Their response was no charges, and a letter was sent to them saying, hey, as long as you keep making the company money, bringing in those millions, you're good.
What the
So it's
fuck?
like, I guess they could continue to steal money because everybody was stealing money, I guess.
What the fuck?
So yeah, I guess as long as they made the company millions, they could still steal from the company. Later on, those two would be convicted of fraud, and Lay would claim he had no idea they were capable of that, let alone doing it.
Bull fucking shit.
When he literally sent him a letter saying, keep going, good job.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
Keep making that money. But, like, also stealing it, too.
Yeah.
Go for it. Good luck.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much very accurate. Skillings, with the downshift the company was currently in, would lead it into a different direction. He would introduce mark-to-market accounting techniques. This just means that if the company made a deal today that stated over the next 5 years the company will receive $50 million, that they could put it on their books that they had $50 million from that deal today. It's not accurate, but that's what that technique allows. And it wouldn't matter if later on in the year the deal fell through, because it would still show on paper that their company made this amount on today's date, even though they technically didn't.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. So the Security and Exchange Commission actually approved this technique, and of course all celebrated at Enron because this was huge.
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm. After the Skilling also believed competition was good for all. He created a grading scale of 1 to 5. 1 was the best and 5 was the worst. If an employee was graded a 5, they were fired immediately. His idea really seemed to work. Employees were working a minimum of 18 hours a day. Minimum. To make as much money as possible for Enron. Because the more money they made, the better they got, and like in the scaling process.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah. And if you were a 1, it seemed like you got bonuses and things like that.
Oh, you won't have to work 18, you only have to work 17 today.
Yeah.
And you get
You can take a
1
lunch.
5-minute lunch. What the fuck?
Skilling, with his interest in high risks, would bring in Lou Pei. Pei would end up leaving Enron with $250 million and pretty much not have to answer for anything that was done during the time he was involved with the company. He was only with the company for a very short amount of time, but he was more of the high-end risk taker and like facilitated high-risk excursions, things like that.
Mm.
While the stock market showed that Enron was doing great, another story was unfolding. Skilling was pushing employees to put more and more of their 401k into stocks in the company. He knew that the employees would do this with the competitive atmosphere he had created. So all of the employees are, I definitely don't want to get to a 4. But if I'm at a 4, maybe if I work longer hours and put more of my own 401k that I've earned and buy more stock of the company, then maybe I'll get higher up on the scale.
Yeah. Maybe I'll go to a 3 or a 2.
Yeah. All the while, he knew that the company was losing billions of dollars on projects in other countries. Some countries couldn't afford to pay for the electricity that was needed. So in other countries, they were trying to set up power grids and things like that, and it just was not sustainable. They couldn't afford it, so then they would just leave the structures there, like a fourth of it built, falling over, rotting, whatever. They didn't care, whatever. Because on the day that they did it, it showed, it was like a $3 million deal.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's fine that it didn't actually get done and it's not being used.
Right.
It's not like all that material just went to fucking waste.
Right. All executives were raking in huge bonuses, even though they were losing money. So the mark-to-market account technique is still very much at play here. On the books, it shows the company is doing ridiculously well, but really they are going down the drain.
They're spending so much fucking money and saying that they're gaining money, but they're not really gaining fucking money.
No, not at all. Enron tries its hand in the technology field with Blockbuster. They try to set up a streaming service, but the technology just isn't complete yet. So this is like 2000 to early 2001. So like very on the technology is definitely there. It's just not 100% there. So like they could have been the first
if they
to get it to
if
like,
they
that's
put
crazy
like
to me.
the actual time into it instead of just
saying that they had the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it was 2000, 2001, that could have really took off.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
Crazy to think that. 2000, 2001 is like flip phones and like just getting out there, laptop. Like I think there's like laptop or
because grandma had a laptop at that time, I believe.
I mean, Facebook was in 2004.
And it said the first real live streaming, like the first live internet stream, occurred in 1993. Freaking crazy. Like, maybe not the streaming that, like, me and you... But, like, it was the first event was Mark Scarpa's The Somerville Show in 1993.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it was done by Real Player.
Like in the iPods and...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that would have been the time to come out with that shit.
Yeah.
If they weren't they did their fucking job and just didn't write it off saying, oh, we're going to do this deal and stuff and make $50 million in 5 years, but actually we only made like 10.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah. But it's fine because it's actually it says that we made that.
Yeah, yeah. So with the deal from Blockbuster, they put in their books that they made $53 million on that day. When in reality, the deal fell through because they couldn't get the technology to get where it needed to be.
Yeah.
And so the money wasn't there. But on that day, it showed that they made $53 million. So this is when the weather comes into play that I mentioned earlier. The ideas of what to basically gamble on was just wild. And that's when someone mentioned weather. Like, why not?
Is it going to rain today?
Right.
50-50 bets.
To gamble on weather, it would be sunny or rainy out and the predicted temperature actually being accurate. This is just so... I mean, it's funny to me. And most people laughed at the idea. But this idea actually got Enron listed on Fortune 500's most innovative company list.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
All I can do is just fucking laugh at this
Yeah.
shit. It's just...
It's crazy to me. The questions start coming in as like, how the hell are they actually making money? What the hell are they doing?
They're not making money.
Right. They're not making money. So how the hell are they getting the money? And what was the company's money being spent on?
Personal stuff?
Yeah. So with all the questions being asked, Bethany McLean was a reporter for Fortune. She asked, how did Enron make its money directly in an interview with Skilling? His answer was he didn't know because he wasn't an accountant. Well, you do know, you lying. So I guess it was like either the next day or sometime that week. He would send over a couple of the best finance guys over, including Fasto, who was the CFO. After they met with Bethany and combed over several documents, like they spent almost a whole day, and she was like going over all these documents, the Enron employees would leave. And as they were leaving, Fasto would state, I don't care what you write about the company, just make it good. Make us look good. So, like, even if she found something, like, this just isn't adding up, which she did. And then they're like, it doesn't matter. Just say that, you know, everything looks good. This is how they make their money. I don't give a fuck what you put in there. Just
make it look good.
Yeah. Lay and Skilling knew that they had to change the trajectory of the company as it was beginning to unravel. The pressures of trying to keep the company afloat were starting to get to Lay. They decided to head to California and merge with the company Pacific Gas and Electric. This gave them access to the power grid in California. Rolling blackouts were happening more and more often. Regulators couldn't understand why, when at the time California was able to produce double capacity, and they weren't even close to hitting that. Turns out Enron employees were moving electricity out of the state to create higher demand, which in turn would create higher prices. Some of the employees would call power plants and ask them to shut off power for a few hours so they could put in a demand for higher prices. This lasted about a year and was said to have cost the people of California $30 billion.
Jeez.
Is that what's happening in our state? It's freaking ridiculous. Like, I remember hearing about the, like in school, the rolling blackouts that would happen all the time.
Yeah.
It never even dawned on me that those two were connected. That's freaking crazy. The governor didn't do anything at the time because it was said to be federally regulated because it was energy. During this time, George W. Bush was president, and it was stated that intervening at this time would not solve this matter. It is believed that it was because he was friends with Lay.
Oh, of course.
The Federal Energy Regulation Commission did not step in either until they were told to. The chairman of the commission was also friends of Lay's.
Of course.
The people of California were fed up with what was going on and elected Arnold Schwarzenegger as the new governor. Shortly after that, in 2001, Skillings would resign. No notice or anything. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Lay would take over as CEO of Enron. Sharon Watkins was the assistant to Andrew, the CFO. She wrote a very detailed letter to Lay explaining the depths of the corruption, as if he didn't already know.
He's fucking behind the corruption.
Yeah. Then the Wall Street Journal would run a piece on the company. This is when the SEC would start looking into Enron. So I don't know if she sent the letter to Lay and then also sent another letter to someone in the media. Like, hey, you might want to...
Yeah, you might want to look into this.
So investors would begin to get nervous. Employees began to get nervous. Lay said all the bullshit he could to try to ease their concerns. So he had like this big meeting and he's talking to all of his employees like, yeah, everything's great, everything's fine. Companies go through this like up and down type thing, but everything's great. We have like billions of dollars, like it's fine. Like our profits show on paper, that we're doing fucking fantastic.
In reality, you're fucking failing.
Yeah. While he's giving this big, superb speech, a few blocks down from the main company building, other employees, through an accounting firm, were quickly shredding millions and millions of documents.
Oh. Oh, will you look at that?
Yeah, I wonder why. I wonder why. As the company begins to fall apart, Skilling was asked if he left knowing what was going to happen. He stated he didn't know anything of the sort.
Bullshit.
The documents, however, show that many of the executives began selling their shares in the months leading up to the downfall. For others, the stock market froze the stocks at $32 for each. But when it finally opened back up, it was down to $9 each. So employees lost a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Not the executives, like the others.
Yeah, because all of the higher ups, they still got their money.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because that's what's important. Who gives a shit about the...
Right. The people that are working fucking 18-hour days and...
Probably no fucking lunch or break.
Yeah. The company would file for bankruptcy. Skilling would tell employees to blame the stock, but in the background, he was selling all of his. So, like, once again, he's telling everybody, oh, it just happened to be, the stock market, like...
Yeah,
that's what happens.
It's not our fault.
Right.
It's the stock market.
Right.
As he's selling his own stocks behind their backs.
So finally, a criminal investigation would begin. Baxter, an employee of Enron, it didn't go into detail as to like what exactly his position was, but he was an employee of Enron. He was a trader, not like a trader, but like a trader like for stock market, for stocks and stuff. He was also a friend of Skilling, would sell $30 million in stock after being called to testify in court. Also, after being called to testify in court, he would drive down a secluded street and end his life by gunshot. So clearly he knew everything that was going on.
But didn't do anything about it until it was too late.
The CFO, Andrew Fastow, would get a deal for himself if he pled guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and tell all of the crimes that were committed by other employees of Enron. He was sentenced to 10 years and a $23 million fine. He served 6 years and now runs an accounting firm.
Oh, fuck off. You're telling me you're letting this person who committed all of this fraud to run an accounting firm?
Apparently.
What the fuck?
Lay made $300 million from Enron. He was convicted of 10 counts of security fraud. He would potentially be serving up to 45 years in prison, but he died a month before the day of his sentencing hearing. It's listed that he died of a heart attack, but not really sure.
Conspiracy?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, maybe. 20,000 people lost their jobs at Enron. Most of them, if they had a 401k left, only walked away with $4,500. If that. While the executives cashed in $55 million in the bankruptcy and an additional $774 million the year before.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Skilling was convicted of 19 counts of security and wire fraud. He was fined $180 million. He was also sentenced to 24 years in prison but only served 12 and was released in 2019. Since then, Skilling has been trying to build up another company with the same idea as Enron. The SEC has banned Skilling from being an officer of any public company, so as long as the company that he works for is private, he is okay to work as an officer. So it can't be like a publicly traded company.
Yeah, but still.
I'm actually surprised, and he's actually got in contact with a lot of the buddies that he had when he worked at Enron.
Oh.
And so they're making connections for him.
How can they let people who committed this major white-collar crime to start another fucking company?
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense to me. But money, I guess.
I mean, even if it is private, it doesn't matter. Right. You still could be committing fraud.
Yeah, absolutely. This unfolding of criminal events led to new laws. I'm probably going to say this wrong. Sarbanes-Oxley Act was enacted in 2002. This law will impose harsh penalties for destroying, altering, or fabricating any financial records. This act also prohibits auditing firms from doing any consulting concurrently for the same client. So that literally came, which is usually what happens, is a law is created after the
fact.
Yeah. But yeah, that is
a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, that is the case of Enron. And I didn't realize it went, like, obviously I knew of it, I heard of it. I didn't realize how much money was at play and how many people were actually affected by it.
That's a lot of fucking money that just went into the pockets of pieces of shit that didn't care about anything but putting money in their pocket.
Yeah. Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah. I don't have any really questions or thoughts besides
there's really...
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like a bullshit case.
Definitely different for sure. The only mentionings I have, if anybody is interested, of course, you can always look up on YouTube. There's a ton of videos on Enron. But if you'd like more of a book, Brian Kruver, I hope I said that right, Cruver, was an Enron employee, and he wrote Anatomy of Greed, The Unshredded Truth from a Enron Insider. That book was actually turned into a movie for TV called The Crooked E. And then there's also a documentary, if you'd like to check that out. It's called Enron, The Smartest Guys in the Room.
Obviously not.
And that just goes over Enron's rise and fall as well.
Wow. Yeah. That's a fucking bullshit case.
Yeah. Definitely very different from what
we've
done before.
Yeah. Very different.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really have any questions or thoughts. It's definitely a different type of case. And you guys will have to stay tuned to figure out what the next white collar case is going to be on.
Yep.
I can give you a warning that it's going to be another bullshit case. Our hearts go out to the victims and all individuals affected in this case. With that is all we have for today. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Girls Gone Curious Podcast. Until next time.